So Andy, again, thank you very much for joining us here at Kingdom MMA for an interview ahead of your BAMMA 17 clash with Greg Severs. There's a bit of bad blood there, if we can put it that way. Your fight was originally scheduled for BAMMA 16, and Greg he suffered an injury in training. He had to pull out the fight on 3 days' notice, and you did a Facebook status at the time. You seemed really emotional, about him pulling out the fight on 3 days' notice. You said a lot of strong things. People like him could ruin the sport. He was scared. He's a fragile fighter. You also took aim at Calvon, saying that they're an experienced enough team, to not injure a fighter 3 days before a big fight. Was this all just heat of the moment stuff, or, is this still in the back of your head going into the fight at BAMMA 17?
So, yeah, I mean, it was very emotionally fueled. I sacrificed a lot of things, and I've gone through sort of a lot of things to make sure that my preparation for that fight was sort of with regards to my personal life, and for that to just sort of come back and blow up in my face was absolutely infuriating and very frustrating. And how true this is, but there's never smoke without fire.
Yeah.
I got told that actually being injured 2 weeks earlier with this injury, and they knew about it too. So, I think at this point, fair enough, maybe he was fit to fight, and it got worse in the last few days. And I do believe that he was legitimately injured, but I think that they should have just taken the responsibility as a experienced team, and Greg himself as an experienced fighter, to sort of maybe notify the promotion or whatever, and let them know that there could potentially be a problem down the road, so that something could be set up as a bit of a contingency plan. But there was none of that, and I was just left, with nothing.
So as you said that, BAMMA, I presume, knew about it 2 weeks, before he pulled out. Is that what you were saying?
No. So I'm saying that it seemed that nobody was notified 2 weeks before. But they allegedly, I mean, this is what I've heard. I don't know how true it is, but apparently they knew that there was a potential injury 2 weeks prior to the cancellation, and then only at the last minute did they say, no, this isn't going to work.
Being a professional, that being the key word there, professional fighter, how frustrating is it for you when, all that preparation and you went to, the final 2 weeks of fight camp are often very rigorous, very hard. You still have to go through that, and, with them kind of not knowing if Greg would 100% be in that fight, do you feel that was a lack of responsibility from Calvon?
To a degree, yeah. I'm not going to go out there and say, Calvon and this, that, and the other, but I just think that the situation could have been handled better. I mean, the thing is, on the previous BAMMA before that, I was supposed to fight Andy Green from Hammer in Manchester.
Yeah.
And he fell ill, and I got a pull out then as well, and then this followed, and it was just an extremely frustrating time, and all the while I've been preparing, and the fact is we've all heard about it in MMA. You've only got so many training camps in you through your career,
yeah.
And essentially I've potentially just wasted two when I could have been on my way to sort of bigger and better things by now had I not had these setbacks.
As you mentioned there again, the fight prior to the one with Greg at BAMMA 16, that also got called off. How do you deal with that as a fighter, knowing you've gone through a really rigorous training camp, a very tough training camp, and it's kind of all for nothing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in a training camp you make technical gains and you learn, which is great, but you can make technical gains and learn without putting yourself through absolute hell with the conditioning that I put myself through for a fight. And so it was really demoralising because, I'm happy to not be successful if it's in my hands, if I fail, if I do something wrong, if I make a mistake. But these setbacks have been completely out of my hands, and I've not been able to do anything about them, and that's where the main frustrations come in.
Is there any positives you can take, though? Obviously, you didn't get to fight, but, the training camps, again, you learned a lot of techniques, I'm presuming. You refined your skill. Are there positives you can still take from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, we're constantly developing. it's tested my mentality to be able to sort of pick up off of a negative issue and keep moving forward with a positive attitude. And I suppose looking at this fight specifically, I've essentially had like a 14 week training camp now, because I'm about fighting Greg in August, July time, and I'm still thinking about it. So I've had a very sort of in-depth view towards this fight.
So that being said, are you more ready than ever to just get in that cage and do what you love doing?
I'd say I probably feel the most prepared. I mean, the sort of the game plan and the strategy that's in place to against Greg is that deep seated now, because we've been doing it for so long. I don't feel like there's any way I could even deviate from the plan if I wanted to. Yeah. I've got it so set now, you know.
You know, statistically, you're similar fighters. You know, we could say that you have 4 submission wins. He has 3. You know, you've both fought similar number of fights. You have 4. He has 5, and you're both undefeated. Do you feel like this? That Greg is your toughest challenge to date?
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if it wasn't that way. I'd hate to feel like I was making any steps backwards with my opponents. I always want my next opponent to be better than my previous. That's how we progress. So yeah, definitely, I've got to admit that Greg is my toughest test up to now, and I'm embracing it. But I don't feel I've got the capabilities to step up to and be successful in.
Does it add any pressure to you? Knowing, as you said, it's kind of like a 12-week training camp. Do you feel that now, after everything you've put in, that you have to go out there and put a stamp on the fight?
Not necessarily. I mean, every fight, the only option that I look at is a victory anyway. So, in that sense, this is no different. The area where I'm really putting my pressure on myself is that I know exactly how I want this fight to play out, and I know exactly how I want to win this fight, and sort of from my personal development perspective with me and my coach, we know exactly what I should be doing. And if I win the fight in a different fashion, planning on winning, and I do something different from what I've been instructed to do, that will be disappointing. So even if I win in a way that I didn't want to, it's more about how I win this fight that's really, really important to me.
A lot of people have called this to be the possible fight of the night at BAMMA 17. Does that add any pressure to you?
No, none whatsoever.
Does it kind of drive you, knowing that the people obviously know that you and Greg are very, very talented fighters, and they know that you're gonna put it up in the cage next Saturday?
No, and sort of anxiety is something that I left behind me in maybe last few amateur fights or the very first few pro fights, but now I'm just there. I know what I've got to do. I'm there. I'm enjoying it, and I'm used to it now. There's no added addition except the pressure that I put on myself.
Yeah, you've mentioned numerous times you're kind of sick of hearing Greg's name. However, both of you being very, very talented guys, do you think that maybe this could be the first of a couple of times that you both cross paths in your respective careers?
Yeah, I'd say it would be. I mean, I watched him fight at BAMMA a while ago in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was potentially going to be on the radar from then onwards. Any featherweights you've got to be looking at as a potential opponent. So immediately then, I was keeping my eye on him and what he was doing. But there's no genuine bad blood between us both, to be honest. I'm just very frustrated at the way that things played out last time. I don't hate the guy. I'm just pissed off at the way that it all went down.
Yeah. So you're training out of Fight Ministry, a fast and upcoming camp. How have your preparations been for this fight? I know you say you've been, it's a long time coming, but is there anything specifically in your camp that you've looked at nearer to the fight now that you've wanted to go over or refine?
I won't divulge too many details, but certainly the things that we were working on specifically for the fight, I suppose we've just been able to further enhance and glaze over again,
Yeah. one of those being your submissions. You're well known for your submission ability. 3 heel hooks, 1 rear naked choke. I was actually covering BAMMA 14 when you tapped out Zisha in 37 seconds, and the whole of press row was shocked at how quickly you dismantled what we all thought was a tough opponent. We know you're deadly on the ground. Is there a specific reason why you prefer to show off your jiu-jitsu, as opposed to maybe standing and trading with a guy?
I don't make these choices. They're not premeditated. You've just got to play what's in front of you. I mean, if you were to go in there thinking that it's going to be like a script, then you're gonna potentially shock yourself every single time.
Yeah.
You've got to play what's in front of you. It's purely coincidence that succeeded in that fashion 4 times in a row.
Do you prefer to go for the submission now? Obviously, you're hugely successful with your heel hooks. They're deadly. They lock on tight. Obviously, Greg will be looking at defenses for that. But again, is jiu-jitsu one of your favorite aspects of the game?
I don't think I really have a preferred martial art. Really, I love it all. And I know that I think he's actually got a couple of heel hooks himself.
Yeah.
In fact, I think in one of his amateur fights, he submitted somebody with a heel hook, so he got disqualified. But nevertheless, he still submitted the guy. So he knows his way around leg locks, which is something that's quite rare in the UK MMA scene at the moment, I think. And I'm going to respect the fact that he's got knowledge in that area. I know he's got some good guys around him who know leg locks as well. So I'm not going to be, I'll never do. But when you're talking about what kind of element of martial arts I prefer, it's all fun. If you punch someone and put them to sleep, or kick someone and put them to sleep, that's great. If you can force somebody into submission because you put them in that much of a compromising situation, I don't want to be there anymore, and that's perfectly satisfying as well.
Featherweight, it's a pretty stacked division in BAMMA. You've got the champion, obviously, Tom Duquesnoy, Ashley Grimshaw. We expect them to face off soon after what happened at BAMMA 16. And you've got new talent such as Brendan Loughnane. Do you see anyone out there who could possibly cause you any trouble on your way up?
Yeah. I think it'd be really brilliant if I didn't feel like there was anybody out there that was going to test me. There's guys out there that could test me, and I think they've all got something to offer. It was really disappointing to see the title fight, finishing the way that it did before with Ashley Grimshaw being injured, and I hope he's on his way to a good recovery now. But I'll be watching the title fight, and I'll be having my eyes on the title myself in the sort of next year or so.
Would you prefer to go for the Lonsdale bout, or is it the plan just go straight for the world title when it's available?
I've not thought about it in that much depth. I mean, I've sort of just
as we just mentioned there, the featherweight division hugely stacked. Do you think that's a detriment to both BAMMA and UK MMA? We have a lot of great talent at this level, you being one of them. There's a lot of names that I just reeled off. We seem to have a really good kind of lower weight class level in this country, lightweight, featherweight, welterweight as well. A lot of great fighters. Do you think that BAMMA's done well to kind of put together a roster of what many would call the best featherweight fighters in the UK?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're looking, like you say, from sort of welterweight to featherweight, it is a massively stacked division, and it really is hard to actually say, this guy will beat that guy. It's extremely competitive as well, which I think is a great thing. And BAMMA have done a fantastic job of sort of pulling all these guys in and putting them together in the same events, because it makes it worth watching, and that's why everyone needs to sort of tune in and be watching the event come December 6th.
You've already fought on BAMMA several times before. What's your relationship like with the promotion? You seem like you enjoy fighting for them.
Yeah, I've from sort of day one, we've got on really well. We think about things in a similar way. Myself and Jude get on well. Some of the other guys there as well. Got a good relationship. We speak on the phone, and it's building nicely. And I think it's going to be for as long as I'm there.
So from someone who maybe hasn't seen you fight before, who's new to UK MMA, what can they expect when you walk through that cage next Saturday?
Expect me to show signs of evolution. I definitely will have evolved as a fighter. Big team of hand raised at the end, and hopefully you're going to enjoy watching the bout and enjoy watching what I display.
Well, Andy, on behalf of Kingdom MMA, again, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your schedule for this interview, and we look forward to seeing you fight, and we hope to speak to you at the event as well.
Brilliant, thank you very much, mate.